background. Is this too much?
I'm very curious to see if these sounds are coming through.
On the recording?
They are.
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mysterious ice chewing. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Ecosystem Builders Show, episode 6. We are here on number 6. Wild. I mean, we're past the month in. Richard, great to be back with you after missing a week. Great to see you, and we have a guest with us. You want to intro our guest?
Sure, Austin. Good to see you. How was the sun?
The sun was great. I don't know if you can see. I'm a little toasty roasty, a little peeling action on the nose and around the scalp, but it was a good time. Had perfect weather. Got to watch one of the Mexico World Cup games at a bar in town with Mexican locals, which was a blast. Absolutely loved that. The energy was insane. And yeah, it was a great trip with the client, and great to be back stateside and with all of you.
Awesome. Glad to have you back, Austin. And Anand, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here and good to see you both. Glad to hear of the vacations and the travels.
It was good travels, good vacations. It was work, but it was in Mexico, so still.
Yeah, I think all I do now is workations. It's all work all the time. I think the only
But it's a write-off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only non-work vacation that I have taken in like the last several years was Miami when it was very cold up in the Northeast and snowy, but I still ended up talking to founders and connecting with startups, and I was doing laundry in Miami because I didn't have enough clothes. And while the laundry machine was going, I walked across the street to tour one of their co-working spaces for the fun of it. It's kind of cool.
This is Miami, Ohio.
It's who you are.
Right, Miami, Ohio, right? Not Miami, Florida. When you said snow, I was like, that can't be.
No, so it was very snowy and cold up in New York, right? So I went to Miami, Florida to escape the snow and cold. Is where it was end of February this year.
Oh, cool.
And Olympics just ended. I watched it happen in Miami. We just 2 gold medals in hockey. Amazing. And the men's team was supposed to come back and fly back and do a parade in New York City, but it got snowed out. They couldn't land. It was like that time. So they landed in Miami and did a parade in Miami. That was cool.
And did you get to see the parade?
No, I had no idea what was happening. Someone else, I stayed at a hostel, and someone else who also stayed there showed me a video because he saw it. And he was like rollerblading behind them. It was cool. Anand, welcome. I am trying to figure out when we first met.
When we first met? Oh man. I can remember Austin. Is Austin gone? Oh no.
I'm here.
Okay. I can more easily remember the first hangout that I had with Austin. But Richard, I'm trying to think of, because I feel like we had talked online a little bit before we met in person formally.
That's right.
Because this was I think I met you at SCN Augusta, in person for the first time, right? And that was back in November of 2024. 2025, excuse me. Right?
You reached out to me. 25. This past most recent summit was Augusta. You reached out to me. Yeah, I remember that. You reached out to me on LinkedIn. I don't remember via who or how.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking up right now.
Yeah.
It's our show. Gosh darn it, we can do what we want. What was our first message?
Watch it be something super embarrassing. Like,
Apparently, like I have no messages with you on LinkedIn. Is that right?
oh, interesting.
Did
Okay,
you?
so maybe it was through like
Yeah.
the Mighty Commons, or maybe it was email. I don't know. Yeah, I don't quite remember though, but I remember like then, seeing you at SCN, and yeah,
And then now we're friends.
also
So
now we're friends. Yeah, now we're running into each other at
wait,
all these conferences.
what about you in Austin? When was the first time you guys chatted, connected?
It
Road
was on
trip.
the way. Yeah, it was on the way to Augusta from Atlanta. And it was me, Kristen, Faye, and Austin, and we were like jamming to Bad Bunny the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I was like, Austin like really knows a lot. I mean, it was like Kristen was clearly the forerunner, the front runner,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
for sure.
knowing all the lyrics, but like Austin was like a close second. I was like, damn, this is
It's funny you say that because Kristen messaged me yesterday and I got
Yeah.
two
I mean,
different
May 19th,
Bad Bunny
2015. We have our
pictures.
first call. We
Or
had our first like connect call. I don't know. Anyways, oh, Aaron Taylor's in the chat.
I love
It's
it. Love
Mr.
it.
Aaron Taylor. Hello, friend. Anand, all right, jump in, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from or work out of, what you do. Tell our friends on the interwebs.
Sure. Sure. So my name is Anand Matrilla. I am originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Grew up there. I was born in South Carolina, but moved to Albuquerque when I was like 3 or 4. I did elementary, middle, high school in Albuquerque, college as well, and then moved to Baltimore in 2018 as part of a fellowship program that's no longer around called Venture for America. It recently shut down in 2024. And that brought me to Baltimore. My first gig here was in innovation lab for a big finance firm. And after that, COVID hit, I kind of changed some things. We got involved in some community organizing stuff. And, I think that that was like the first, introduction to like the space of entrepreneurship ecosystem building. And so I became the first employee at a ecosystem building startup here in Baltimore. And ever since that, the end of 2020, but really I was doing some of this work like in 2016 as well. But 2020 was like a formal introduction into what this world is that the three of us are in, with entrepreneurship ecosystem tending, I'll call it. Yeah. These days I'm doing, I'm wearing a few different hats and still doing this work
as one
in a few
does.
different ways. Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably talk about that plenty. I'm doing some like grant writing and fundraising for a youth entrepreneurship nonprofit here in Baltimore. That's part-time. I'm doing some like small business consulting, more nationally. That's also part-time. Trying to see if I can if I should start my own venture. And that's, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Trying to also, yeah, I've also been like involved here in Baltimore with co-launching with some friends, the Baltimore Chamber of Connection. The idea being we prioritize commerce with chambers of commerce. Why do we not prioritize social connection? Especially when that's like a backbone for of so much of what we do. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for now in case y'all have questions. But yeah, a little bit about me. Yeah, I don't know. What else would y'all like to know?
I think there's a lot there that we could
Austin.
dive into, right?
Sure.
So much.
I think we could dive into the youth entrepreneurship side. I think that's something that's super that both Richard and I have previously talked about, but very passionate for each of us. And so
Mhm.
maybe we dive in there. I think the thing you said of like wearing lots of hats, be curious on that one.
Yeah.
And then I think the other question that, especially from a grassroots perspective, all three of us here, right? And I think that's one of the reasons that we all kind of bonded, I guess, if you'd say that in Augusta, is like that's where we all come from, is this idea of, well, like when do I create a thing to run
Mm.
all the grassroots things through? That's been a question for me. I know Richard now has Max Q. So maybe you're further along, I don't know. But then yeah, I think it's a question we've all wrestled with. So
Yeah.
those are kind of the three areas I'd love to dive into. If you're watching on YouTube, we would why what is happening?
Ooh. Whoops.
What is happening?
Whomst.
Why did that do that?
What is that?
Is that like a screensaver for somewhere? That might be like the local screensaver.
I don't know
computer.
what just happened.
It kind of looked like a
mean,
TV show. I
okay,
like couldn't put my
so
finger on it.
I have a remote for my camera, and I think what happened is it like I accidentally tapped the playback, and that was a still from the last video I guess I took on the camera.
Oh,
That's really
interesting.
funny. And that's still can you also hear me if I put this back up?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I can hear
this
you.
still is from an event called Shitty Pitch Competition. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube.
Yeah, you
But
can.
the whole premise is like, hey, like trying to pitch your own startup, you feel like there's a lot of pressure on the line. So what if we got pitch practice around shitty ideas that don't matter? And so this is Dan, one of the co-leads of the event, and showing, actually, I think in this clip, he's doing the who do we think won? And so, so you can see him doing thumbs down. So the voting of this was if you loved the idea, then you booed it. And the idea with the most boos won the event.
Wow.
So
Also some like rejection therapy and exposure.
Oh yeah. That's funny. I didn't know I could do that with this camera. How about that? The more you know.
Austin,
all right.
Can we do a please? Can we in the future do a tech episode of how we produce the show and like the things our tech and our whatever? Not right now in this moment, but it's so funny, like random things like that.
Yes.
Like a GoPro strapped to your head, like to your head as you're like setting up the podcast
light
episode.
action.
Yeah. I love that.
Nerd out and play with tech, yeah.
That would be for our Patreon subs. You know, if you want to see behind the scenes, make sure to subscribe, hit the pay button. You can see all the behind the scenes. I don't know. We gotta fund this work somehow, right? We gotta fund the work somehow.
Oh, amazing. Austin, I know you're on a clock here. So what do you want to talk about, Austin?
I'd say let's first dive into youth entrepreneurship. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing, Anand, and let's maybe start there and then see where it goes.
Cool. So the organization I work for is called Dent Education. We do youth entrepreneurship, youth innovation internships primarily in Baltimore City. And so our young people, we support them from ages 14 to 24. It's like a 10-year commitment. We run earn to learn programs. And so all of our programs, the youth are actually being paid while they're also building and interviewing and prototyping and also just like learning innovation skills, right? So right now, because AI is so hot, like we also wanted to incorporate how do we intentionally learn about AI, not as like a replacement or a substitute for human ingenuity, but like an added layer, like a tool in our tool belt, right? And so that's part of it. They also learn like maker skills, like 3D printing and heat press, and they use laser cutters for different things. And we have like a maker space in Station North here in Baltimore, and they'll actually like sell the things that they make. And so put together, right? It's like innovation skills that are future proof, right? We're not we're not saying, hey, go learn how to code, and you can only code until, you know, the big tech companies like take coding away via AI, right? We believe in economic choice. We believe in agency. We think that is a part of the human experience that AI can't take from us. And so it's important that we root in those values. And so put together, it's you know, durable innovation skills. It's social capital. Our young people are, you know, connecting with each other, but they're also connecting with mentors and coaches who are youth-centric in Baltimore. But they're also connecting with employers. And in working with them, they also build those professional relationships that then they go work for like full time as young adults, or, you know, as adults. And the last thing, the thing that we're like really excited for recently, the state of Maryland has this blueprint of by 2030, they want to have, I believe it's 45% of our young people graduating with a industry recognized credential or a youth apprenticeship pathway. And right now we're nowhere close to that, you know, that achieving that metric of 45%. But Dent, along with, in partnership with IDEO, the like education arm of the global design thinking firm, they actually like co-partnered to make this AI and design thinking IRC, like early career IRC for young people. And so while our young people are also, you know, building these ventures, they also have the option to earn this industry recognized credential that then like demonstrates like, you know, proof of skills, and like employers can use, and it's already been validated, and, you know, people are excited about it. So yeah, it's one of the reasons I think why like Baltimore is so special, right? Is because we have this approach to, we are a very relational city, I think, just by nature of the history and by what was required of the communities here. But I think we also have a density of social entrepreneurs who are playing with what youth agency and youth in positions of power and decision making, what that looks like. And like, I think it's cool that like Dent is one of those organizations. We've been running for almost 10 years now. You know, our young people have earned more than $1 million. I think it's like 1.2 million. We, like, Hopkins does our evaluation, and after several years of like, you know, measuring like meaningful and significant like changes in our young people, they're now switching to doing alumni evaluation. So yeah, it's a program that I'm very fortunate. Like, I've been involved with them since 2019, and so in this moment for me, as I'm dealing with like other health issues and I need some like flexibility for when I can work and, you know, how much I can work, doing like part-time grant writing for them is, yeah, it's meaningful to me, and it gives me a way to contribute in ways I can. So yeah, that's kind of the short of it with Dent. I'm happy to send y'all links for people to check it out. We're actually doing like a Dent 10 fundraiser, right? And so for our 10-year anniversary, yeah, y'all can like check it out, but that's www.denteducation.org. And please like reach out, feel free to talk to us. We always want to, you know, help expand this as well. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
That's really neat. Go ahead, Richard.
Wow. Amazing. Wait, I'm going to put this in the chat here for our audience.
Sure.
And so they'll have it, denteducation.org in the chat there. Can we, and I'm so serious about this, find a way to, like, you know how there's like bring your kid to work day? Can we like do a bring an ecosystem to work day, like ecosystem exchanges, where we go and
I love
like
that.
explore these things and like all the other cool things happening in different ecosystems, right, around the world?
Yeah.
That figure out a way for, I want to come to work with you for XYZ amount of time and like just like dive into this.
Yeah, Jason Schneider mentioned this too. Like, Jason wants to come visit Baltimore because he has like so many friends that live here, and, you know, there's something special in the water here that's not clean enough to swim in, but like there's something special happening here. And so, yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have like field trips or to, you know, hey, come hang out with me for a week, right? And we'll just bop around. You know, maybe it's like 3 or 4 people come crash on my couch or whatnot, and then like tag along with me as I go run my routes in Baltimore and like do work and meet people and blah blah blah. I would love to do that.
I like that a lot. I think you know, one thing we've been talking about for Startup Champions Network is you shared a lot of programs just now, right? And so how do we almost create like a repository or like a GitHub of programs that different ecosystem builders are doing, so that way if I'm like, hey, like I love what Anand was doing with this program with youth, like I want to do that, and you tap into the repository, you see the playbook, you run it locally, but to give back to the network, you share your results and you share what you did differently and any assets you created. Because I think like one reason I was excited to hear what you're doing from a youth side is an organization I'm tied to in North Carolina has a very strong youth program. And I think you would, you know, like we need to get their executive director and you connected because it's not too far from Baltimore. But on the same side, when I moved back to Kentucky, I'm like, hey, how do we do more youth here? Who is doing youth related programming here?
Yeah.
What does that look like? Well, a lot of that is on like it was pocketed. Like there are some pockets here, there's some pockets in this part of town, there's some pockets in the school system, but like from a citywide, hey, let's bring them kind of together. Or what if you're not in these pockets, then how do you get involved? And it sounds like that's some of what you're doing. So this is why the show exists, right? We love to hear what people are working on. I would love to do a deep dive, but like Richard said, I do have to go.
No worries.
A 4-month doctor's appointment. How has it been 4 months since we had our little one? But there's so much we could dive into. And before today's episode, we were like, okay, there's definitely going to be multiple episodes with Anand on the show. Who knows? Maybe you'll be like our quasi third guest. I don't know. It's our show, like Richard said. So like we can do what we want. But you know, really excited to, you know, listen in the car while you and Richard talk more of some of the stuff you're working on. And it's great to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Congratulations again.
YouTube, thank you.
Yeah.
To your YouTube
Congrats.
audience, this is my last thing that I had on the calendar that conflicted with the show. So from here on out, you're stuck with me. So I will see you next week on July 3rd. Faye, great to see you here in the comments. I'm so sad I missed you last week. So we're definitely gonna have to get you back on the show so I can ask you a few questions also. But I was able to review some of the notes from last week and loved your definition of ecosystem builder. So Richard, don't forget to ask Anand that question. I know you will, but great to see you both.
Do it now, Austin, before you leave. Do it now. All right. Ask that question.
I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to listen on my phone to your answer. Anand, what does ecosystem building mean to you, or how do you define ecosystem building or an ecosystem builder?
Yeah. Good question. And I will see you soon. Back in... Yeah, so I would define an ecosystem builder or an ecosystem tender. I don't always think that we are building ecosystems, but oftentimes we are, we're tending, right? I think of what this work is doing as like tending towards like the conditions for the emergence of ideas and innovation, right? And so I think a lot of times we, as a community, like root in like the programming and the like structural side of things, the 501c3s versus the LLCs versus the, you know, the S corps, like how, you know, we're looking at like capital and fundraising, and those are all important, but I think like at a higher level and at the same time as like a more core like a more core definition. Actually, I wrote about this. I'm curious if I can like just like use that definition.
Yeah, do
I
it.
also will write and will I'll write and then like look back on things afterwards and see like, do I still feel the same way about this? So definition I was going off of for a while. Here's my working definition. An ecosystem tender is someone who plays the infinite game of cultivating conditions for collective flourishing through reciprocal relationships, emergent strategy, and systemic awareness. I'll just here, let me just toss that into, I can toss it into the chat too, just so people can
Please
attack
do
it if
that.
they want.
That is, I like it. You know, I
Mhm.
like it. And I'll put that in the
It's
public
wordy.
chat
It's like
here.
we can, yeah.
Dense. It's dense, right? It's a lot of different pieces, which is ecosystem building, putting the pieces together, and very, in my opinion, intentional of how you structured it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that on screen too. An ecosystem builder is someone who plays the infinite game, which we will have to have a whole episode on infinite game, finite game,
Yeah.
with Jason Schneider here to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. Your lunch session that one time was awesome. It was great. I loved it so much. I still talk about it to this day. Infinite game of cultivating conditions for collective flourishing. Love that. Through reciprocal relationships. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Emergent strategy. True.
Mm-hmm.
And systemic awareness. All true.
I think the like to me, early on in this work, and even now, I see a lot of people using the terms ecosystems, and they've become very popular. And I unfortunately I don't think a lot of folks like ecosystems are ecological systems, right? They're not economic systems. We like that's a core distinction I think worth making. And then like
Mhm.
ecology is a study of relationships, right? It is, yeah, plants and flowers and whatever, but like fundamentally it's the study of like how things relate, right? And so like as ecosystem tenders, right, it's less about like, hey, are we building this structure, are we building this thing, are we, you know, creating a new like well, whatever. And it's more about like, okay, well, how do we like ensure the right relationships that then, you know, allow for the emergence of these things, these ideas, these solutions, these enterprises, whatever. And so I think early on, like to me, I came into this work of ecosystem building through entrepreneurship, but really it
Mhm.
expands much more, right, beyond it. And so now, yeah, like that lunchtime session actually was like really dicey. I thought there were some people that did not like what I had to say, you know, and some people loved it, right? Which is, I think, the right place to be. Of like, if something is threatening to one group but like really resonating for another group, then like that's maybe something worth exploring. Um, Austin, I hope that was a. I know you're in the car, but like I hope that was a good.
Yeah.
Did your question justice? But
Um,
yeah.
that's I like that a lot, and it made me think a lot. And I keep iterating my definition of
Mm,
ecosystem building or the work that we do or the field that we're in, XYZ.
yeah.
I like it a lot. And to your point of lunchtime session of people liking it or not liking it, emergent strategy, right? You're cutting edge. You're like thinking about this stuff. Very, do you have an academic background? Do you like come from that world?
So, oh, perfect. I love. Okay, hi, Austin. Thank you. So my background academically, my undergrad degree was in economics and like interdisciplinary studies and stats. And so it was more of like I remember when I was studying economics, like the assumptions that we were making in Econ 101 were huge assumptions, but we just like never touched base again on them. It was like, you know, we're just going to assume that growth can be forever. We're going to assume that like hey, human beings have infinite wants and that's fine, right? And like we're going to assume that like price is the only mechanism through which we understand value, and we're going to say that, hey, all these other things are external or externalities because they're too difficult to measure, right? Like the value of like a tree's shade, the shade that it provides, and like the rest that I can take beneath a tree when it's hot outside, that's invaluable, right? Like we can't
Mhm.
measure that. So then therefore we're just going to kick it away and say that's an externality, and like that's impossible. And it's like, well, okay, but then we've reduced the value of a tree just to the timber that we can use it for. We've completely minimized its value as a provider of oxygen, as a provider of a shade, as a provider of like a home for all these, you know, critters and things, as a, you know, as a provider to like hold the soil together, right? And economics, I think, is you know, I come from that tradition, and yet like it falls so short. So I think of yeah, my background was also, I was doing like work in like nuclear policy and conflict resources, and my research paper was in like attention politics, and like another, you know, my yeah, another paper was on like outer space policy and human rights, and how we think about, you know, um, human beings' relationship to the cosmos, right? And like,
Mhm.
are we able to actually explore the cosmos? If like Star Trek, for example, you know, was one of those visions, but it was interesting to me that like Star Trek always showed like a very sterile space, right? Like there were no germs inside these spaceships. There were no plants inside these spaceships. And it would indicate that like human beings can like grow and expand separately from all other life forms. Like I just, that I don't think that's true, right? And so I think I'm coming to this work through a lot of different lenses. I also think there's like aspects of growing up in New Mexico and being surrounded by indigeneity and like feminist leadership that I think like we were very comfortable with in New Mexico, and so pulling those values into ecosystem building as well, like very much makes sense to me. Um, but yeah, that's, I guess like that's how I'm coming to this work. And also there's like, you know, backgrounds of like philosophy and like Vedic studies and disability justice and disability access, and like my own experience with that, that I'm bringing my whole self to this work, which is also why it can sometimes be like challenging and intense, you know? So I hope that was, yeah, kind of giving a lot. So feel free to cut me off and jump in wherever you want to, whatever direction you want to go.
That's the most I've thought and like deep thoughted this week. So thank you. Um, I am curious. Well, I'm always curious, period. But I don't know what I'm curious about right now. But I think the piece that stood out for me on this, in your kind of explanation and words, is this relationship piece. And that's the thing that drives it home for me, right? We, in my view, opinion, experience, is that we are building relationships and building social capital. And we are doing that from a place that is collaborative and from a place where we can, in the future, for unknown number of founders, um, carry forward this kind of relationships and systems that we've helped build to support them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would agree. Um, like I think the like, and this kind of goes back to the infinite game, like finite and infinite games piece too. But like I think what I see as like the ideal or like vision or goal for certain relationships is like when needed, do they allow for like the spontaneous collaboration that we need, that special like recipe of collaboration or mix of people in the room or whatever it is. Are we able to relate well enough to one another to where we can have like that um, like spontaneity to respond to a certain moment, right? To respond to any moment. When there is a new crisis, right? When a hurricane hits, or when a pandemic or contagion like spreads around the world, like, are we in a position where we can relate to each other well enough to respond to those appropriately? One of my favorite examples of this is after Hurricane Sandy, the fastest, the organizations like that were the fastest to respond, they weren't FEMA, it wasn't World Central Kitchen, it was recycled networks out of the Occupy Wall Street movement, right? And that became Occupy Sandy, right? Of like those relationships that were already built from the Occupy Wall Street movement. Like, people were trusting in their community's ability to, allocate resources and say like, okay, this person needs this more than I do, and I can have the humility and like discernment to say that, right? Because like I've like spent time with this person, we have the relational capacity to understand that. So I'm going to say no to these resources right now, and I'm actually going to say like, I think we should self-organize to deliver those elsewhere, right? Like, that ability for a community to do that is, I guess, like what I'm thinking about as like allowing for that spontaneous response, right? And I don't know, I think of it as just like relatability. How are we interbeing with one another? And this feels like the question, the second biggest question to maybe the asking in this moment of like, yeah, how do we interbe among each other? When more people are living in metropolises than ever before, when inequality is higher than ever before, right? When you have tent cities on one side of the highway and mansions on the other, when you have, a trillionaire, but you also have crazy high rates of poverty, right? Like, how are we interbeing? And I think that's really the question that we as ecosystem builders are trying to answer, but just through the lens of entrepreneurship, and innovation and surfacing of solutions. Anyway, that's what I really think is like the point of all this, right? Is like to help communities like interbe and allow us alongside with that. But yeah.
I love that. I love that perspective. I love how
Does that
deep
resonate? I don't
that
know.
gets. I think so. I need to sit with it, right? I need to sit with it, then watch the replay, and then listen to it like 5 times and really think about it. But it is very deep.
Poke holes with it. Like, let me know. Send me responses. I'll send you my Substack, and you can just like, rail against it if you want. But
just throw it in the chat. I'll put it out to everyone, and then folks will read. You are a very prolific writer, and I am not, right? Why? How did you get there? Why do you write?
That's a good question. I kind of borrow from Joanne Didion. Like, I write to remember where I am. I write to like remember how I'm feeling. I know that my personality, my perspective is constantly changing, and I love to like try capturing something into words so that I can reflect on it later. I appreciate the compliment. I don't think I'm a good writer at all. When I became a journalist for 9 months, and that was kind of by accident. And the organization, we all know the organization, so I'm not going to say its name, but they're beloved. And when they reached out to me, and I applied to the role that they suggested that I apply for, they straight up told me, they were like, we're not hiring you because you're a good writer. You're not, but we can coach you on that. We're hiring you because you have relationships in the rooms that we want to be in, and you have context for those rooms, and you've been in these spaces and have these experiences. We want that. Like, okay, heard. So that was really the first moment that I like had to have a practice and a habit with writing. And so since then, really, it was like the end of 2024. That was when I sat down and was like, okay, like, I never imagined myself to be a writer, but like, let's practice this. And so I appreciate the compliment. I don't know if I necessarily see myself as a prolific writer, but yeah, for me, it's coming from a place of like needing to process and you know, have some catharsis and like remember the remember where I am in the turbulence of the world, right? In the turbulence of my own experience. But yeah, I'm curious, like how, I mean, where do you think uh, where do you think you are in your journey with writing right now?
It's a great question. And before I answer that, right, good is subjective, but
Totally. Yeah.
what is objective is that you are a consistent writer.
Yeah.
And so, right, whether someone thinks that's good or not, maybe that is my compliment to you
I appreciate that.
for being
Yeah.
a consistent writer.
Mhm.
My journey of writing, I have in the past been told that I should journal and write and all of these put words on paper type of situations. And I just have never gotten around to it, um, to keep a journal or write a journal or have energy at the end of the day or the start of the day, uh, to do that. And so that is not a practice of mine. And I recognize that anything becomes a practice after repetition, after setting aside intentional time to do it. And I have
Mhm.
not gotten there, or I don't know if I will ever get there to set aside time to write. But what I uh, do, and more of now recently, is share,
Mm.
particularly on LinkedIn, stories and things and moments and events. And it's not deep writing and it's not um, very edited and through many iterations. It is what I am thinking, mostly in the moment or after an event or after a conversation or something like that, that I wish to share with my network and the
Mm.
world as a whole. Uh, to really story tell is where that comes from, to share
Yeah.
the stories of the things that I am fortunate enough to experience.
Yeah.
And most recently, one of the posts was from Salt City Market in
Mm.
Syracuse. I was out there
Mm.
yesterday with Right to Start to do a town hall, with the Syracuse mayor's office and the county exec and the ESD regional office. And we had a panel and we had entrepreneurs talk about Central New York and how do you make it a better
Mm.
place for building businesses.
Mm.
And then we
Mhm.
had the Good Neighbor Fund launch party for Central New York right after that. And what I struck me at first wasn't specifically the events or the content, and I
Mhm.
have not written yet about my thoughts on the event or the content. But before I even got there to the event was the space itself, right?
Mm.
The
Mm. Mhm.
venue and the um, Salt City Market, that is a food court, a food incubator, a test kitchen, a low risk, low uh, cost way for restaurateurs and small businesses to get started to eventually grow
Mhm.
out into the community, into brick and
Yeah.
mortar.
All right.
Um, that was been in the works since the early 2000s by folks
Wow.
in Syracuse and Central New York over many different iterations. And recently in 2019, stood up and started by a local foundation, which created a nonprofit. It's a story I got and researched and learned, but just by being in the space in the past 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to share that story with the folks who care to look at it on LinkedIn
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
network and the world of this cool thing, this cool place, this cool structure,
Yeah.
and cool model, amazing third space that my hopes and dreams are that other communities and regions take and also do and have,
Mm.
right? And so that's
Mm.
that's the kind where I'm coming from
Yeah.
with my posts and my shares and storytelling that I do on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
is where I am.
I mean, that almost reminds me of like solutions journalism, right? Of like you know, journalism can often be sad because that's, you know, often that can be newsworthy, but there's also a lot of really wonderful things happening, and to be able to surface them and to give people like a model or something to inspire or something to learn from, that's huge. And the things that stick with us are stories, right? Like that is one of, I think, the oldest form of technology ever, right? Is like storytelling. And like so much of, I think like so much of ecosystem building is also, or like one of the value systems for ecosystem tending, I think, is indigeneity, and part of one aspect of indigeneity is also like the passing down of wisdom through like ancestry, through through lineage, right? It's not about, hey, I read it through a textbook and therefore I know it. It's like, no, I learned this while undergoing an experience with an elder, with a guide, with a mentor, with a guru, with a parent, with a whatever. I think, yeah. So I see this like storytelling bit as like a critical component, right, to the work that we're doing. But also, yeah, you can talk to Annika or Chris or
Yeah.
Faye, any multitude of the storytellers that in our community. Yeah, who we just get to learn from. Like I think of myself as like storyteller baby, and these are folks who've been in the game for 15, 20 years. So
And have the good fortune to hang out with and work alongside, and they are so welcoming and warm and accessible that they will come hang out with us, like on the show. We've had Annika, we've
yeah,
had Faye, I want Chris on the show, right? And it's
yeah,
all our storytellers. I'm in my storytelling era because I have for a long time just avoided sharing things online in the past, and now I'm sharing more. Someone the other day, don't know if it was a compliment, one of my friends who isn't in entrepreneurship or ecosystems or any of this was like, "Wow, you're like LinkedIn, you're like X gaming LinkedIn right now." Is what they said to me.
oh, interesting. X Gaming LinkedIn.
It's kind of funny.
I like that.
I like that too. And I had written one of my posts more recently, or recently, something like recently, I've wanted to do more storytelling. Then I realized I had free will, or at least maybe the perception of free will. So I'm just gonna do it.
That's funny. Yeah. I think it's good practice, and I like just as much as like storytelling, I think like reading stories too, like the hearing stories, listening to stories, like
Yeah,
we should be talking to our parents and our grandparents more and asking for those stories, right? We should be like,
100%.
I see this with a lot of my guy friends and myself, right? Of like, we tend to gravitate more towards like the like nonfiction, right? The self-help, the technical, versus like there are stories. There's like a rich body of like storytelling that is like so critical to humanity, but like we're just not, we're not leaning into it as much. And so I think it's worth practicing right now. Yeah. I'm curious, like for you, what are the like when you are storytelling, are there certain themes that keep coming up for you? Um,
I think for me, I always look for the positives and share
mm,
the good stories, right? And
mm,
I,
mm, mm,
with this perceived free will that we have, whether or not we're in a simulation and being simulated, that's a whole different conversation. We get
sure.
to
Yeah.
share what we want. So why, to me, should I share the negative things that are happening? Let's share the good, uplifting, and inspiring things that are happening in the world, because there
Mm,
already is so much negativity. And when I share and story tell, it's about all the great things that I see
mm, mm.
in mostly entrepreneurship and ecosystems and startups and any of that.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would also, I think I would also would, love to read the internal dialogue. Like how did you decide on a certain out or a certain decision, right? Of like maybe it isn't always like a big part of my experience is disability. It's like, yeah, that's tough, but also like that's informed so much of the work that I do. I don't know if I can fully communicate why, or I don't know if I could like fully bring myself to ecosystem building if I like weren't, you know, bringing that like disability, that illness side as well. And so,
Mm.
I don't know. I think it could be helpful. It could like add to the story by sharing the hardships too, by sharing the tough parts of it as well. But yeah, I don't know.
100%, absolutely. And I think we need more in quantity and volume and quality and XYZ of stories, uh, and more different diverse perspectives,
Mhm.
because we know that in groups and in communities, the group and community or organization reflects the organizers and the leaders, because they bring in their perspectives and their
Mhm.
network and their people, right? And so same
Yeah,
thing with stories. The more different people we have telling stories, the more different stories we get, and the stronger it is as a
yeah,
whole.
yeah, yeah. Are there certain stories you're looking for? Like, who can I plug for y'all?
Yeah. Not specifically, right? It's not like I go out there to like, it's not journalism. I don't have a
Yeah,
quota. I don't have to, right. Just cool people, cool things.
yeah,
You know, no specific ask there, but I'm going to turn the
sure.
question around on you. What do you need? How can I support you? How can our community support you in anything? Personal, professional, entrepreneurship, ecosystem, otherwise.
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I think I would. I think I would root in like the relationship piece again. The Like one of the projects we're like, working on, like the Baltimore Chamber of Connection, for example, and part of this is to help people um, find and cultivate a sense of belonging in the city, right? Oftentimes, like newcomers will come to Baltimore, and usually, if they don't have like something within like the first year or so that really like captures them and like holds them into the city and like gives them a meaningful experience, they are pretty likely to leave quickly. You know, and there's loads of folks who come here for grad school and their lives are just either in the ivory tower and then they just come home and like no real engagement with the city besides the grocery store. And so part of this is, you know, how do we fold people in? What do we do on that? And so we're creating like a Baltimore ambassadors network. And so, you know, when there's a newcomer, they're moving into a certain neighborhood, they get paired with someone in that neighborhood who can like kind of show them around, who can, you know, introduce them to other communities, who can like touch point, who can like have a touch point with them like a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. Um, I also think of like yeah, I would go like follow that. I don't know how myself to get the support that I feel like I might need. I think I'm in like a moment of uncertainty with some health stuff and like yeah, transplants and surgeries and whatnot. Um, so I don't really know, but for now, I'll say like go support the other causes, go support dent education, go support the US Chamber of Connection, but also the Baltimore Chamber of Connection, root locally, you know, support the folks in your ecosystem who are cultivating relationships and tending to relationships. And um, yeah, if I can be of use or if, you know, if I can be of help to people, like feel free to pass that my information on to them. I think I'm going through like a professional questioning, life planning questioning right now. So um, yeah, but I think this is kind of like there was a period of time where I thought, oh, is this like a quarter life crisis? And it's like, no, actually, this is just life. Like this is
Yeah.
just, you know, yeah. So, but it took me about, you know, 5-10 years to learn that. So, um, oh, I see you posted Smiley Paswalski.
Yeah, in our private chat here. Oh, so Smiley was a speaker that I had um, attended an event. I think I was taking pictures at it or something. He's speaking at one of our events in the capital region on
Cool.
belonging, workplace belonging, and community
Ah,
belonging, and why that's important, why that's the number one thing
interesting.
that keeps people in a organization or in a place. And this
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
specifically called out, very cool, diversity and inclusion summit here in the capital
Hmm.
region that our
Hmm.
capital region chamber put on. And they brought him in as the keynote speaker to talk about why organizations need to foster a sense of belonging with their employees,
Hmm.
because that is a high ROI activity by any business metric.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, every like major employer should be investing in these types of initiatives, right? That like foster social connection because that ensures that their employees stick around, right? Yeah, we're currently, yeah, um, yeah. I think of like who generally supports these relational initiatives and who benefits from them, and oftentimes those things are not aligned. Um, those that benefit are not always the ones who do support, and so like maybe making that case a little bit clearer. And now we're seeing actually like this last year and a half, 2 years, like there have been more funding opportunities for you know um, initiatives around like civic belonging and social belonging and trust building and yeah, social connection overall. And so that's kind of heartening. I think that's like kind of helpful. Um, but yeah, that's a good question. I really like, you're the third person to ask me that today, and I still haven't figured out an answer of like how actually could I use support. I'm not sure. Um, but
Yeah, on this topic of belonging, really quickly, I learned
mhm,
recently this whole category of ERGs, employee resource groups, within larger
mhm,
organizations. And organizations intentionally allocating resources to create affinity or
yeah,
affiliation or interest groups,
mhm,
clubs, kind of like adult clubs in a
yeah,
workplace where people
yeah,
belong, right? We think high school, we think college, we have clubs and our people. And yeah, it's really cool.
right, yeah. I know of more departments like calling themselves like DEIB, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
And so yeah, that happened a few years ago, and I wonder if they're still, if that's also changed a little bit. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a core thing, right? Like that's like we're all looking for belonging, and yeah, I have my own experience with that around like health and whatnot as well. Of like
Yeah.
in those moments where I felt like I really needed that, like I found my sense of belonging in like hospital waiting rooms, right, with like other people who like could, we were different ages, we were different, life stories and whatnot, but um, yeah, I am like grateful for those experiences because that fed so much of my worldview and my approach to the work that I do. But also it like fed me and sustained me and like kept me whole in these times when like I needed it, And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think this is like a deeply like spiritual and human work that we are doing, and we are, we get to bring our full selves to it, which I can't really think of like a higher privilege in in work, right, than like being able to bring our full selves. But um yeah, and then I also feel like at times like what we do as ecosystem vendors is like borderline sacred, borderline holy work, if not entirely. Um, but I don't know if everyone like sees it that way. And so like I gotta
Yeah.
I gotta cool my jets when I'm in certain rooms with it. But so
Yeah. Um, I wonder on the piece of supporting you, if
hmm,
we might be able to dig a little deeper with us being mindful that this is public and we are having a conversation that the world is listening to allegedly,
Sure, yeah.
of how we can support you if you're willing to dive a little deeper and explore that
Sure.
together.
Sure, let's try it. Yeah, I'm open to it.
All right, right, and say what you are comfortable with. Because I have been doing a lot of that work myself, trying to figure out how to build a world in which I live and do things in that supports me in the ways that I need, which mostly for many ecosystem builders who are not exited founders and or independently wealthy or have enough, right?
Yeah,
Includes a component of need to make money to pay bills. And if money wasn't an issue, we get to do our life's work, right? But money
yeah,
is a thing that is real in a society in which we have to pay for rents or mortgages or put food on the table. We
yeah,
need to contend with the fact that we need to make money, right? And so I've been working on that to build systems and things and ways that we can capture value. Really, what it has come down to for me is the things that we are doing as ecosystem builders or tenders or entrepreneurship supporters or XYZ anyone. We create value for someone, some organization, something, some XYZ. Uh, and if we don't stop doing that thing, right? Like just stop doing
mm,
it.
mm,
And so the
mm,
things we do are valuable, or we perceive them to be valuable, or someone else perceives them to be valuable. How
mhm,
do we do that in a aligned way where we can capture some of that value, not just in the very fulfilling social capital or relationship capital that we know and get and people trust us when we make introductions
yeah,
and all of that. How do we capture that in financial capital to take to the bank to actually pay for things so we can live and be people, right? And
yeah,
so it's very philosophical, but very, when framed that way, at least for me, drives to actionable.
mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, a few things come to mind for me. Like first, like so much of our work is relational, and we know that like the current economic system, this flavor of this economic system that we live in, like has a hard time valuing relational labor, right? Like arguably,
Mhm.
I would argue that's why so much care work is not compensated for. So much of like you know fem work, fem labor is like not compensated for. Um, we just assume that, oh yeah, like motherhood, okay, you just do it, and it's like, well, no, you also should, maybe there's like value if we can like name some of that value, we can then like begin to demonstrate how important it is, um, which I don't know what's the right route to go there. So a part of me is not surprised that the space that we are in does not have the structures and mechanisms to like compensate us appropriately. Another a part of this that my mind goes to is, you know, in my experience in the last 5 years of being unemployed or underemployed, um, like I think prior to this period of time, I had always seen myself as like, I need to earn 75K because that's the number that like, you kind of like max out like your happiness and everything else is kind of like
Yeah,
marginal,
yeah.
diminishing returns. And so I was kind of like, okay, I need 75K, I need 75K. And now I look at it as actually, I don't need that much. If I can get, like, first off, like the actual amount that I need is probably much less, right? I do know that amount for myself. And the second thing is, well, if like like do I need all of that if I'm able to get support in other ways, right? Like is there like the bartering system, like mutual aid, right? Like I think of like yeah, I think of like pods, right? Like if there's different ways of meeting our needs, right? And I think that's ultimately what like ecosystems are, is we find ways for this collection of living entities, right? Some of them are living, some of them are not, right? But we like there are ways that this like collection of entities feeds each other, right? And even in death, even in expiry, right, that fallen tree feeds so much of what's to come, right? And so like, I don't think there is, like, I don't think it has to be money. I think it should, right? But I think there could be some instances and cases where it's like your needs are taken care of by this other thing, right? By this other structure, maybe. I don't know. Just a thought. What if it was like, you know, I have a doctor friend, right? That doctor friend makes a good amount of money. What if it was like for 1 year, I live with my doctor friend and her husband, and they like cover my costs, but I also help out around the house and whatever. And that also gives me, 20 hours a week to just like run on my own venture. And if it works, then we all share in the spoils, right? It's like there's ways of, like, if we look at what we're doing as like this individual pursuit, I myself have to have a job, I have to have a car, I have to have a house, I have to take care of everything, I have to go exercise, I have to make my own food, I have to raise my own kid. If it's all just me, that's exhausting. I can't do it, right? But if we share the load, if there are ways in which, okay, like we can collectivize the risk and collectivize the successes, like, maybe there's other ways of meeting each other's needs. Those are like the two places that my mind go to. And then like the uncomfortable part is like, no, but we still need money, right? We still do need a little bit, right? I don't need the 75K. I don't need all of my like 25K that I think I actually need. Maybe I could do it on 15, but like I would need, maybe whatever other bits of it would have to be compensated in some way, to help me like meet my needs, right? And again, this is like, I keep harping on disability because one, it's such a universal experience, right? Like ideally, like we experience disability, ideally, because like God forbid something happens and we're suddenly out, right? Like in a moment where we're living longer lives than ever before, like chances are very high that we will inevitably experience a decline in health, a disability, dis-ease, right? Like that's inevitable. And so how about we design for that inevitability rather than designing for like, oh, the perfect body, like you are capable to run a 40-hour work week and do all these things and like, take care of yourself and live individually and whatever. And what I hear you saying with like, we all have different needs, we all have different amounts, like that also is a part of disability, right? It's to say that like our bodies are different, our minds are different, like what you need is not what I need, right? And what I need is not what you need. There probably overlaps, but like, so something that might come really easy to me that I can do in 15 minutes might come hard to you, right? And so, and vice versa. And so like, can we trade? Can we do these things for each other? And like, so I all to say, I don't have an answer to your question. If someone does, I think there's a prize waiting for you in Norway with your name on it. But like, I think this is a question for the field, right? And like, I think we're like trying to make sense of this moment in American history, but also like in global history and like economic history of like, what are we doing? What has this system worked? Has this system actually served the people in the ways that we thought it would? And I in my opinion, the answer is no. But that then puts the onus on like, all right, what's the vision? Do we have the muscles to collectively imagine? Can we engage in that? And then can we like work towards it? And that comes back to relatability, right? Of like how can we relate? How can we sit even in conflict, right? Like, yeah. It's personal, right? Like we like bring ourselves to this. And so this is all, my friends here in Baltimore, they joke that like, he's on his like ecosystem train again. Like everything is ecosystem. So it's like, yeah, but it is. And they're like, yeah, but like, so figuring it out.
Yeah, I think all of us are to a degree,
Yeah.
right? The thing that conversations like these keep me going back to and sparking in my mind is the concept of ikigai,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are familiar, but I want to pull up a graphic for
Yeah.
everyone else. So, what is your understanding of it? Will you explain ikigai to all our friends?
It's like the overlap of three different things, right? It's like, what are you good at? What does the world need? And oh man, there's one other overlap. And what can you get paid for? Is that it? Like there's three like the Venn diagram is not a diagram, it's like a triagram, right? Like three circles, and
It's
then the overlap is
for,
four.
yeah, I am
All right.
trying to navigate this new Mac right now. Let me try to pull it up on screen here. Technology is so fun when you don't know how to use it. Give me 1 second. I got a new, always have been Windows forever. Now I got a Mac. Now I have to figure out how to use it. Share screen. Allow to share window. This is not the window I want to share. How do I switch this? Nice. Share this window. Can you see that
I can't see anything right
on
now.
stage now?
Yes, now I can see it. Yeah. What
Ikigai.
you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. All right, so I forgot the love part. Yeah, that
You
feels
know,
important.
a little bit, right? And
Yeah.
ikigai roughly translates to Japanese concept, roughly translates to a reason for being.
Hmm.
And what you love up here is the advice we give to young people: chase your dreams, follow your passions, do the things that you
Hmm.
want to do.
Hmm.
Um, and it is a place that many people start at, especially when they're younger,
Hmm.
and try to find a career or a job or sustain themselves doing what they love.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very common until sometimes reality crushes them and they have to go do something they don't love, which is very
Right.
sad,
Hmm.
right? And so, right, the concept really is ikigai is in the middle here. What fulfills all four of these? What you
Hmm.
love to do, what you're good at doing, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for, what you can be
Hmm.
paid for. And I can't think of a fifth category that is necessary. What else
Hmm.
in here in kind of reason for being or life's work? I don't see a fifth category. This is very good.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I think myself personally, and hearing anecdotally from other ecosystem leaders and folks like that who do this work, who are relationship builders, who support entrepreneurs, who support systems, who do this, it's because we love to do it. It sparks joy within us to connect
Hmm.
people and build relationships and build systems.
Hmm.
We get good at it through practice, and through learning and by being there and being consistent. And yes, the world needs it, um, because it makes a stronger, better, more connected world and ecosystem.
Hmm.
And many people struggle with what you can be paid for because, as you mentioned earlier, it is very relational, and relational work is hard to capture financial value from.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we end up in this bucket up here, many of us,
Yeah.
delighted,
Yeah.
delight and fullness, but no wealth.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
How do we then move down and find a model, financial model, business model, if you will, of ecosystem building, ecosystem tending, ecosystem stewardship, so that we can
Hmm.
just get paid for the value that we create?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me personally, thanks to literally you and Jason in that lunch talk and the conversations around it that Heidi and I have had over
Hmm.
many, many
Hmm.
days since then,
Yeah.
is ecosystem work is an infinite game and is relational. But within that, how might we, or myself personally, how might I
Hmm.
play a finite game that is compensated financially
Yeah.
so that I can continue to do the ecosystem work that is the infinite game and be better at it and have more resources to
Mm.
continue to do that and make that impact. And
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
working very hard on that since our time together in
Mm. Hmm.
Chicago. And I have closer to the solution for myself personally.
Cool. Yeah.
And I think many of us need to also do that, and maybe in that same framework of a combination of infinite, finite, ikigai, all of this
Yeah.
can get closer to have enough or have abundance and have comfortable in some level while doing the work that they love to do.
Yeah. 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 Part of me wonders if it's really just like a business acumen thing. Like I'm wrestling with this question now as I'm trying to start my own venture, and part of the challenge is how do I like I'm aware of these like I'm aware of like the ways in which the current structuring of, you know, how we come to have businesses and ventures, right? I see how like the tools, like we only have the limited tools that we do, but we're trying to build beyond that logic, right? And so a part of me wrestles with just like that, right? Of like how do I, you know, it feels weird to try and do like money making off of like relational things, right? Because our culture is not cool with that really. But
Mhm.
like that is also important, right? And I think we should, I mean, if we need to value it, we need to value it. And if right now collectively we are not valuing it because we have not put a figure behind it, then maybe right now that's actually the move to make, right? Is actually quantifying and like putting a monetary value behind like the relational work. Um, so part of it is the like the wrestling of that logical inconsistency, maybe of like having to use the tools that we have now, but like and within the logic of the system that we have now, but also like build beyond that logic. Um, but also then is it then I wonder is it like am I hiding behind that, and maybe like is one potential reason why I'm not, you know, able to do that right now is because of my like lack of business acumen. Like I thought, you know, I don't know. um so I'm curious actually. I mean, this is something I posted in the eShip Commons of like, do we have data around ecosystem tenders starting ventures and seeing
Yeah.
where we like do we, yeah, do we have data on that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
That's a great Issues Commons question that someone knows. Norris,
Yeah.
ask who's our academic folks, right? Is it Norris? Is
Yeah.
it Eric Parker with what he's doing with HBS? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know of, I don't know that we have that information of like EVs starting their own ventures and where do we fall short, right? Yeah, we are building, we are tending, we're like, you know, creating the conditions for these things to happen. But if we ourselves can't get to the finish line, not, you know, in a finite game, say for example, the finish line of growing a company, raising a company, whatever, right? Like if we can't get there, then that's useful information, right? Of like what is it? What is it that's like stopping the ecosystem tenders, the people who maybe do have the relationships and the trust? What's stopping us from actually achieving these, you know, getting paid, right? So, yeah, I feel like I'm not really giving answers. I'm just like asking more questions to confuse things even more. So
Isn't that literally what you did in your lunch talk
that is
that
what I
like
did in my
led to
lunch talk.
this is yeah, what you
Yeah.
did in your lunch talk.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor said this is good. So awesome that we are chatting about a topic that is resonating with at least one person, which is cool because Austin and I do this show for ourselves. And if other people find value, fantastic. So +1 validation, very,
Love
very
it.
cool. I feel like all ecosystem building roles lead to entrepreneurship. Okay, that's literally what we just talked about, right? How do we build business models
Yeah.
around this work?
Yeah.
The question is, are we prepared for that? Are we, like you mentioned, good business owners or good founders of venture scale companies in this sense for ecosystem work? Given that's not always our original intention, and usually not our original intention coming into
Yeah.
this, wanting to build relationships.
Yeah.
And I think there have been successful models built around and companies built around uh, this work. And I don't know what the kids say. Double tap on the. It feels bad to get paid or ask to get paid for relational work and for infinite game work, which we really
Mhm.
need to do. So for context now, for
We
everyone
should.
else,
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. And I have in the past, for a long time, thought about wouldn't it be cool if the community just supported this work and we had a Patreon and everyone donated money because they wanted to see ecosystem work be done in our XYZ geography, capital region for me, or
Mhm.
New York State for me, right?
Mhm.
And I have
Mhm.
never come to the point of I am going to ask the community to give me their hard earned
Yeah.
money, financial capital for value that I create. And I'm
Right.
still not there yet, or maybe ever, to put that ask out to do that. But I
Yeah.
have come down the track of, as I alluded to earlier, of getting closer to this answer for myself by thinking and asking the question, what if we could build a business, or what if we could build a company that had enough, that gave us enough, whether that is small business, Main Street business, lifestyle business, right? The two buckets really also I've come to is venture scale versus not venture scale, right? And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
maybe three categories of like small business versus scale, but not venture scale business versus venture scale business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I know we don't have a ton, and this is a 90 more minute conversation, but I probably only have 10 or 15 more minutes of this. Maybe this is another finite infinite game actual conversation with real examples and real workshops of things of how to
Mhm.
take infinite game work that we want to do and get compensated on a finite game level there. So maybe we
Yeah.
pause on like what I've come to until that time.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. These are all
So
good questions. I don't know what the
uh,
yeah. And then Aaron says the second challenge is translation to the broader innovation ecosystem.
what does that mean? The second challenge is translation to the broader innovation ecosystem. How might we build models that work for us, that work for others? Or how do we build frameworks so other people can build models that work for them? Is that the thought there? I think it's reverse. What do you mean, Aaron? I need to send Aaron a link to just Aaron. Do you
Yeah,
want to just hop on?
this right. I was gonna say this might be a cool feature for the future. Is like if someone has like a challenge, like poke holes in this, and you just like bring them on for like 2 minutes, have them say their thing, and then you
Oh,
know
I'm literally just going to do that right now. Aaron, you want to come on? I'm going to send you an email right now with the link. You have the link from last time, don't you? Just come on. We have a studio. We are good at production. We know what we're doing. Aaron, come on the show. Come hang out. And we'll see if he is in a place where he is able to come
Funny.
hang out because Aaron came on with Annika on the show.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Love it.
Translating our value add, values, and strategies in terms that resonate with them and their business model. Translating our value add, values, and strategies in terms.
I think, yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, like also when we're, yeah, like when we're like positing, you know, like here are the things that we're doing, here's a value that we're adding. How do we then like make it palatable or make it digestible to other organizations? Like I think a lot of us are, you know, sometimes we're like creating the language because we see the shortcomings of what it is right now in terms of like what we're talking about, like the relational labor ecosystems, like ecosystem building versus tending, right? It's like these things we are constantly remaking language to better meet the need, and so we're often going to be using different words, right? And so translating like what it is that we're actually doing and helping each other with, I do resonate with that, Aaron. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. Also, Aaron, if you're trying to get on and you're still listening, the old link doesn't work. It's the new link's in your email.
Okay.
But we do have this capability to drag guests in onto the studio. I think I'm in the waiting room. Wrong link. Sorry. Check your new link in your email. No, this is cool. This is a lot of questions. This is great.
We will have to have
Really?
another session. Yeah.
100%.
We'll continue this. No pressure, no urgency, no need to, you know, get to all the answers right now.
Yeah.
But
I think let's coordinate with Jason, see when Jason is available.
Sure.
I think Aaron does want to hop on and say hi.
Yeah,
He
let's
says,
do
I
it.
think I'm in the waiting room. So I'm just waiting for him to hit the new link on there. Funniest story ever. eShop Alliance, right? The only that's inaccurate. Occasionally I get notifications that, oh, eShop Alliance is live, like Andy and or Faye and or someone else has gone live. And I always try to go there and listen when I can. And usually it's like noon is when they go live. And whoa, beep. Aaron Taylor is in our backstage.
Cool.
Is there a video? Hello. I can't see you. I'm gonna let you fix that. We'll bring you back on. And so Andy, because he can see, it runs a mighty, right? I guess is the network. And so you could pull people up on stage. And I was out in the world and I just listened in because I could while running errands or doing something else. And he's like, Richard, do you want to come live on air? I go, no, I'm sorry, I'm out in the world somewhere.
That's funny. I love this feature though, like just to add people in.
Yeah, Aaron, can you hear us? We can't see you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Audio only, Aaron. Oh,
there we go.
Hey guys. Hey,
hello.
Anand, how you
good
doing,
to see
man?
you. Good to see you. Doing well. How are you?
It's been a minute. I'm doing well. I've just been listening in, and I think it's crazy how your conversations are turning out, Richard. From where this conversation started to how you guys what you guys ended up talking about is crazy. But I wouldn't expect anything as soon as I saw that Anand was the guest for today's show. I was like, oh yeah, this is, who knows where this will go. But I just wanted to chime in. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. The business model thing is something that we've been talking about extensively across the field. And, you know, it's something that is resonating with me and honestly, you know, causing a lot of tension internally for me, especially now that I've had the opportunity to meet more ecosystem builders. When I came into this field, I was coming in from the vantage point of a very technically recognized profession as a startup attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So as kind of like as an essential service provider recognized in the innovation ecosystem, um, that was kind of like the tip of the spear for me to engage with actors across the innovation ecosystem. But that hasn't always been the advantage for a lot of ecosystem builders, period. I was very fortunate to come across ecosystem builders, to be mentored, and to adopt ecosystem building principles and strategies, and ultimately develop my own, because it seemed kind of like a natural. It seemed kind of like a natural. This is what we do, um, or this is what people in the innovation ecosystem hope to do. They just can't see it. And we talk about this, just kind of like shameless plug on the podcast ecosystem scale. We consistently surface the disconnections in culture, in tempo, in goals, and ultimately in language between these innovation ecosystem actors. And all these misalignments, it that's where ecosystem builders fill the gaps. That's why the values, that's why trust is important, that's why social capital is important, to be those effective bridges, and to build that infrastructure that really makes up the pathways that founders and entrepreneurs have to traverse between innovation actor to innovation ecosystem actor to ecosystem actor. And so, again, I've been really fortunate being an attorney, but what I've learned is, having worked with institutions and having done some research into how innovation gets funded, period, is that, you know, innovation gets funded because, like, someone who has money wants a competitive edge, or is doing it, charitably, right?
Yeah.
Think about who funded, the arts during the Enlightenment period, right? Same concept. Who were these sponsors and these benefactors of innovation? Very powerful people who were either committed to some type of military competition, or just, charitable donors. Um, and so when we understand, so we understand that innovation doesn't just get funded for innovation's sake, which is already kind of like different from how we approach our work, because we intuitively recognize that, Anon, I loved your definition for what ecosystem building is. But I think one thing that you mentioned was system awareness, right? And that's absolutely right. I think we come into this work with an awareness of the system, and we take for granted that system awareness has nothing to do with why those that are funding innovation are actually funding innovation. So I think that's one tweak that we have to be able to process, that the values of the ecosystem builder, although they are essential to our work, are not the values of our funders.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that would help us in how we communicate to
Totally.
these institutions and, these policymakers. And then to the point that I was trying to make, about entrepreneurship is that our work, in our work, the people that we're around most are founders,
Hmm.
and entrepreneurs. And Faye Horowitz, I'm not gonna lie, she scared me
Really?
because
Why?
it's the first time I actually like. So she said, so we were at the table, Richard. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were outside at the kind of like courtyard, and we were speaking to her and Annika, she mentioned that though she mentioned that the work that we're doing is human centered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because we were talking about the dilemma of, essentially it seemed like we were talking about the dilemma of either getting paid or centering humans. And me, I held up my hand. I held up a stop sign because I was like, pump your brakes, slow your roll. Because how I've always approached my ecosystem building is that the founder is an economic unit.
Yeah.
Like there is a direct tie to our work and economic stability, growth, and scale. Because I consider, because if we don't have founders building, then we don't have sustainable innovation infrastructure in the community, da 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 da. And Faye took that lens and really smashed it on the ground, because what she was indicating was that it's a lot deeper than that. That you're not just helping the entrepreneur, you are helping the human in the process of community building.
Yeah.
And I have not thought of it purely like that. I've thought of it as creating economic systems,
right,
that have positive community building results.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never really.
No, go ahead.
It just blew my mind.
Yeah.
No. I just want to finish up real quick, but that blew my mind because, I think that's another challenge in the difference between our approach versus ultimately how we make money. Because I thought about what she said, and she's absolutely right. And it challenged me to be, honestly, a more compassionate ecosystem builder.
Yeah.
However, what I think that there's some truth to my experience in that I started ecosystem building around founders. And ultimately, what we're developing as, whether we realize it or not, as ecosystem builders, we're developing as founders.
You're saying ourselves.
And I'm pretty sure each of us, yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that for the sake of ecosystem building, sometimes we avoid founder principles for ecosystem building principles. And somehow I think a challenge that we have to begin, I think that many people already have done, and some people are beginning to do, but some people still have yet to do, is begin to understand how to be ecosystem builders and founders at the same time. Yeah. Like how do we marry the drive of a founder approach with the with the com- with the systemic compassion that's required of the ecosystem builder. That those are just my rambling thoughts, but I think that underneath, I think what I've presented as observations are true and validated, and ultimately, you know, ultimately we've got to cross that bridge.
Yeah. No, I super, I hear that. I am, I think, closer to Faye on this of like there was a conference I went to and I was on stage and I said something akin to, you know, like loads of people think they're ecosystem builders, but they're actually just economic developers in sheep's clothing. And that pissed off a lot of people at that conference. And I stand by it, right? Like if all we're doing is seen as economic stability and job creation and wage growth, if that is the only thing that we're doing, then we are economic developers, right? But like the inherent point of an ecosystem, right, ecological system, is that I mean, I don't know. Let's take a natural ecosystem to play with the analogy, right? Like in a natural ecosystem, in a forest, what are we growing? What are we optimizing for? Like, what would be the founder in? Oh yeah, same, Richard. What would be the founder in an ecosystem, in a natural ecosystem? Right. Or like another question could
Why
be like,
wouldn't the founder be?
Yeah. Go ahead. Good. Yeah.
Why wouldn't the founder be a naturally developed? Are you saying that a founder would be in a natural development or entity in the ecosystem?
I'm just asking, like, what in the analogy, like, what would be the equivalent of a founder in a forest, right? Like, when we're talking as like ecosystem
I think
builders, yeah. Go ahead.
Anything that contributes.
Okay, so then I think I have like a weird lag. My bad.
No, I think it's me too.
Yeah, let me cut and then come back.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
So I think like if we think of ourselves as like in a forest, right? If as tenders of the forest, if we are just looking to optimize one entity's survival or success, right, then that's not ecosystem tending. That's farming. That's tree farming. That's frog farming. That's whatever your entity of focus is. That's just you're optimizing for that thing, right? That is what a factory farm does. That is what fish farms do, right? But ecosystems, right? I mean, again, it's worth distinguishing. They're not economic systems. We call them ecosystems because they're ecological systems, the study of relationships, right? And so,
That's
like,
fair.
I can't honestly call myself an ecosystem builder if the only thing I'm measuring myself on is job creation, is wage growth, is, you know, the number of exits, right? Like, if that were the only things I'm measuring myself on, then I'm an economic developer. That's fine. Right? Like, I think, yeah.
That's perfectly fair. I think my point is that there are still assets and entities in the innovation ecosystem that do that very thing. Right?
Yes, sure, sure.
So I think you're absolutely right. But I guess being able to translate or having the ability to translate, not solely perhaps in those metrics, but maybe being able to translate the parts of your work that do correlate with those things, right? Further reels in those economic developers, those venture capitalists into the flows of the ecosystem, because that's the very problem that we have. The very problem that we have is that these entities are fixtures in the innovation ecosystem, but they're not necessarily acting like it, right? They don't necessarily have the pathways, the on-ramps. This is what makes our job so important. And ultimately, you know, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that I think that our job, you know, a part of our job is, you know, just a level of ministry, right? And how can we effectively minister the approaches and values of ecosystem building to these institutions and entities without being able to speak their language?
Yeah. I mean, I see, we were talking about this a little bit earlier of like, why do I think of this as like semi-spiritual? It's because like in an economic system, when you take a human being and all the multitudes that they contain and turn them into a worker bee and say, what is your hourly production value, hourly, you know, value to an employer, right? That stamps out the humanness of us, that stamps out the humanity of us, and just reduces us to a cog, a factory worker, right? Like just someone who, like, you know, that is all I can do. And so it is like part of this, I think, is asking for a novel, not a novel, because, you know, ecosystem values have existed since time immemorial, right? It's matriarchy, it's indigeneity, it's ecofeminism. Like these things have, you know, we land tenders and agricultural workers and spiritual healers, and they've been doing this work for thousands of years. But I think like it is like a, you know, holding the tension of like different logic systems, right? Of like, you know, how do we float in this economy? How do we make it in this market? While at the same time, like ecosystems would have to be then relational. It's not just about the entities, it's about everything, right? It's not just I want one tree to grow a ton, right? It's I want all of these things to emerge in harmony, right? And be susceptible, be resilient, and be adaptive, and change and grow, and, you know, they will die. That's okay. Like let's tend that down with dignity. Let's like bring that expiry with like, you know, yeah. Go ahead.
And we have to let Richard go. But,
yeah, we have to hop. Yeah.
So I think the difference between what you're saying and I'm saying is that exactly what you just ended with is what I think the role of the founder is, not the ecosystem builder. I think
interesting. Okay.
Yes, I think the founder is responsible. Not just the founder, but the founders, the community of founders, is the workforce that advocates for these environmental changes through their own innovations as they perceive the need through their own individual perspectives, and then aggregate that.
We got to continue this. We got to continue this.
But I think that's the point, because all roads of ecosystem building ultimately lead to the founder, ultimately lead to a founder experience. Because to me, what you're talking about is being a founder.
Yeah. I don't know if that has to be everyone's experience. I think there are some people that are cool with just being the connective tissue, right? The like, hey, like I'm good with just like, you know, I will be the relational infrastructure. You can use the pathways that I've like built and the trust, and I don't know, maybe like, but
and that's fine. But again, how effective, how sustainable will that be? Because we'll end up having the very conversations that we're having now. I've been the connective tissue. I've been the relational infrastructure. How sustainable has my work been? Right? Am I getting paid? Right? Like burnout is real. Being underemployed and underfunded is real. Why is that? You know, because there's something about infrastructure that goes beyond the individual effort.
Yeah. This is great.
Richard,
Richard, this
we're
is
gonna let you go. We're gonna.
yeah.
I'm gonna.
This is good fodder for next time. But I appreciate this, Aaron. Thank you so much. These are really good thoughts, and I want to marinate on these.
No,
but also Richard, I want to let you go too.
Yeah. We're overdue for a conversation anyway.
Do it live on the show next time. This is so good, though.
Well,
right?
Invite us back on your time.
You are
right.
both always invited. You have the link. If you show up in the backstage, I'll put you on stage.
That's fine.
I love this so much, and in wrap up, this is why we do it, right? To create space and rooms and platform for ecosystem builders or tenders or stewards like us to have these conversations on a regular schedule. That's one of the original impetus of doing this thing. Austin and I were like, let's get together and hang out and do it in a low lift, high impact way where we can just hang out with our friends. And this is it. This is exactly why these impromptu, these conversations that are deep. And so thank you both for coming and hanging out and being here with us on this show.
Well, I'll get off the show, but I do want to give Anand back his show. But no, thank you for letting me hop on. It's always a pleasure to just hang out. But you guys have done great, and I've learned so much as always from Anand. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
This one's for all of us.
Thank you, Aaron. My friends and I, we talk about the importance of a third. Right, it's like you can have like the 3-body problem is like that's where like emergence happens, right? If you have 2 people hanging out, like okay, we can like ping pong back and forth, but having a third is like kind of a key part, and like now there's like a little bit of unpredictability in emergence and non-linearity in where these conversations go. So Aaron, thank you for that. We were missing Austin, so this is not a replacement, but a wonderful addition. And then Richard, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for having me on, and all the questions. I enjoyed the like space to riff and marinate and like, sharpen these ideas. I don't think it's a good idea until it comes into contact with other people, right? Because that's when it becomes real. So love you, thank you, and I hope the 5 o'clock is not too loud, too annoyed with us being late.
And thank you so much. To be continued. So many more.
Yep.
Right, every single week, 3 p.m. ish Eastern. Maybe we like trend towards I was like consistently 3 o'clock. 3 p.m. ish Eastern. 3-ish. I don't know. People do the things you're supposed to do, like subscribe or like or share or something. Thank you all for watching. I'll play us out because I think we need to not cut the live stream early. Here's some lo-fi.
Love it.
See y'all next week. So fun. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Have a good one. When do I hop, or can I hop whenever?
Never.
I just stay on. Cool.